Welcome to section 2-3 of the coordinate plane. I want you to go ahead and press pause and write all this information down, and as we go through it, it will make a little bit more sense. So this is what our coordinate plane looks like, and you'll notice that it's composed of two different number lines that meet at the origin, which is why we call that 0, 0. Okay, the x-axis is our horizontal line. And if you envision this as being a number line, it starts at 0, it makes sense all the positive numbers are going to the right and all of the negative numbers are going to the left. Okay? This is our y-axis, which is also a number line, meaning at the origin, so when you go up, those are all the positive numbers, and when you go down, those are all the negative numbers. Now our coordinate is composed of an x and a y. Okay? And our x-coordinate is what we graph on the x-axis. So our x-coordinate tells us to go up or down, or I'm sorry, right or left. And we would go to the right if it was positive. And we would go to the left if it was negative. Okay? And then the y-coordinate tells us to go up or down. And we would go up if the y is positive. And we would go down if the y was negative. Okay? Now, the coordinate plane is composed of 4 quadrants. All right, so starting in the upper right-hand corner, this is quadrant 1. And points lie in quadrant 1 when they have both a positive x and a positive y. In quadrant 2, it's going to be a negative x because we're going to have to move to the left, and a positive y. In quadrant 3, we're going in both negative directions, so a negative x and then down, which is also a negative y. And in quadrant 4, we're going in the positive direction for the x, but then in the negative direction for the y. Okay? Now, because in order to lie in one of these coordinates, it has to either be positive or negative, anything that lies on a y-axis or an x-axis would not be in a quadrant because it would have a 0 as one, either the x or the y. And we know 0 is neither, it's not positive or negative. Okay, so if it lies on one of the axes, it would not lie in a quadrant. All right, so once again, most important part what we're learning from today is our coordinate is made up of an x and a y, and you would always start at the origin and then move to the right or left first, and then up or down. Okay? So we just want to make sure we go over how to actually graph and label a point. So if I'm graphing point K, okay, and here's my coordinate plane. This is my x value, and remember we said x told us to go right or left, and since it's a positive 2, we're going to start at the origin and move to the left 1, 2 spots. Okay, you're not plotting the point there because it consists of an x and a y. So our second number is a y, and we said y told us to go up or down, and since it's negative, we're going down. We're going down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We plot the coordinate k. Okay, and we would know this is going to be in quadrant what? Quadrant 4. And we name our quadrants using Roman numerals. Okay, so make sure when you're writing down in your notes that the quadrants were named in Roman numerals. Okay, so when we graph these coordinates on our coordinate plane, when you plot the point, you're going to name it, and that's the point of having these letters here. So we're going to start at the origin. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. Okay, and my first coordinate is -3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to start at the origin. Since it's -3, I'm going to go in the negative direction. 1, 2, 3, and then it's a positive 4, so I'm going to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Plot your point. We call that point A. Now notice how I'm just using these tick marks in order to count. Okay? And point A would be in quadrant 2. For B, I'm going to start always at the origin, and it's a positive 6. So positive 6 means I'm going to move in the positive direction on the x. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then it's also a positive 5, so I'm going to move in the positive direction on the y. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this is point B. Okay, for point C, I'm doing the same thing. I'm starting at the origin, and my x says 0, which means I don't move to the right or the left. Okay, the y, however, is a 4, and it's positive 4, so from the origin now, I'm going to go in the positive direction on the y. I didn't move right or left on the x. I'm going to go in the positive direction on the y. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's right on the axes, so there's going to be no quadrant. But you also could put it lies on the y-axis if you prefer. Okay, I forgot point B. Point B would be in quadrant 1. All right, so for D, it's negative 8, 0. So I'm going to start at the origin, and I'm going to go in the negative direction. 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I'm off my little line here. That's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then it's a 0, so I'm not going to go up or down. This is point D. So once again, since it's lying on an axis, there is no quadrant. It's going to lie on the x-axis. Okay, and for our last one, point E, once again, I'm starting at the origin, and it's negative 4, so I go in the negative direction. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to go down 5, because it's negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And there's point E. And point E is in quadrant 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that's how you plot your points. Now, if you got stuck, press pause and go back. It's very important that you understand how to plot the points. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to find the ordered pair and state the quadrant. So I'm going to move, these things get moved for whatever reason. Move my quadrants back to where they belong, or my x and y axes. Okay, that's a little bit better. We don't want to have to say a decimal point is our answer here. Not yet. Okay, and I'll move this over too. All right, so now everything's in place. So it says find the ordered pair and state the quadrant. So for point A, now you're working backwards. So I'm starting at the origin. I'm going to count right or left, and that's my x. And then I'm going to count up or down, and that's my y. So for point A, I start at the origin, and I'm going to go over 1 and 2. Now I went in the positive direction, which means it's going to be a positive 2, and that's my x. Now I'm going to go up, so it's going to be positive y, 1 and 2, and so there's my y. Okay, so order pairs 1, 2, 1, 2, both positive moves, and point A is in quadrant 1. Okay, for point B, I'm starting at the origin, still always starting at the origin, and now I'm going negative direction. I'm going over negative 1, 2, 3, and 4, so my x is a negative 4. And then I'm going down 1. Okay, I'm going down 1. So that is a negative 1 since I went in that negative direction. Now remember, you can always look back at your quadrants and see what type of coordinate they're supposed to be. I know that if they're in quadrant 1, 2, 3, which is what quadrant B is in, or is what point B is in, it's going to be negative and negative. And if you look at my point, I have a negative and negative, and that's just giving me some reassurance that I did it correctly. Same for point A. Being in quadrant 1, it should be a positive number and a positive number, and that's what I have. Okay, and then point C, I'm starting at the origin, and I'm counting over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's in the positive direction, so it's a positive 5. And now I'm going down, so that's negative. 1, 2, 3, and 4, so that's a negative 4. And I know just by looking at it that it's in quadrant 1, 2, 3, it's in quadrant 4. And in quadrant 4, it's supposed to be a positive and negative, and that's what I have. Okay, so you have all these different tools in order to make sure that you're doing it correctly. All right, so look at your quadrant, make sure you can look at your coordinate and see that you have the correct positive or negative aspects to it. All right. Hopefully this helped you tonight, and thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.